What's going down, everybody? Welcome back to another altered art tutorial. Today we're looking at how I make my Space Odyssey pieces. It's a cultivate. There's going to be a little bit of a galaxy behind the hand. The arm will be extended and there'll be some planets situated about the card. The card's already base coated, so check out my altered art tutorial video on how to base coat. Link will be in the show notes, and in the top corner you can see paints, my stencil, my brushes, the top brush there, of course, for making stars. The next one down is my number 0 round. It's for painting, and the big fat one there is actually for base coating. So let's get to it. You see a glossy black. I actually mix that with flat black as to make the background not too shiny. We've got a white, a brown. I actually use purple instead of teal. We've got yellow and the metallic green for the planets. That little cutout name line is there, so I don't have to re-clean out the name line. We've got my stencil. Again, the 3 brushes. Get my stencil on there, and as soon as the stencil's on, we start going to town. So I get some white on my brush. It's pretty soupy, and I just flick it. I pustoink it, whatever you say. I use a toothbrush as well. It gives you a little bit of a finer mist of stars, and you can actually water the toothbrush down a little bit to give yourself a little bit more translucent stars to make them look like they're farther away. And I always end with really thick white stars back on top. I add gold to my white, and then I dab it with my finger a little bit as well to give it a little bit of depth to make it look like you're looking at it from far away, as if you're seeing dust. And it just adds a little bit of brightness. And then there's the really bright stars on top again. I always finish with bright stars on top because it gives it that depth. So you saw my toothbrush, you saw my toothpick. I use all kinds of tooth tools as it were. And I'm just cleaning up the hand a little bit so I know if I have to paint around it or if I want a little bit of an effect around it. I like to clean as I go, especially with these space pieces because they can get pretty messy. And now we're painting. And sorry, some of it got cut off, and I forgot to show you that green right at the start. Some of this gets cut off. You're going to be able to see it when I turn it around, though. I really struggled with getting the color of this arm right and getting the light on either side of the arm correct. But I wanted to leave it in to show you a little bit how I paint over the name line there so I can get kind of the width of the arm right. There's the purple that I said I used. All those paints and the paints that I use are in a previous altered art tutorial video, so you can check my backlog or playlists for that. Cleaning as I go again, especially with brown, because my brown is just sticks to cardstock so well. It's notoriously bad to try and clean off. But here we go. You can see this is the part where I'm going to struggle a little bit to get the shadows right on either side of the arm. The light source kind of looks like it's coming from behind, and that's where it's coming from in the original art. And I thought it would look pretty cool if I left that because the galaxy behind is the backlight. So you always have to think about light in these space pieces. If I did this exact one again, I'd probably make that galaxy a little bit brighter. Maybe some light peaks coming out of it, because that hand is really lit up from behind. But this piece is already gone. It was sold on auction on the Commander Cookout Facebook page. Link to that'll be in the show notes as well if you want to check those out every Thursday. So here I am struggling still. You know, I added yellows and purples and greens and whites to try and get it to look like lower part of the name line where the original hand is. I think I did a pretty good job by the end of it, but it just took me longer than I would have liked. So now I'm underpainting the little bit of a bracelet, and then even the bracelet had light coming on it from both sides. So we can just barely see it, but I think it's good framing it up like this because this can demonstrate actually how little amount of paint actually makes it onto the card when you're mixing and getting your portions just right to keep your paint nice and flat on the card so it's not all lumpy and chunky and looks overworked. So lots of different colors going into this because, like I said, it's backlit and the light's kind of bending around the bracelet from both sides. I put a little dab on the actual original art to make sure that I'm matching it accurately. It's a little bit of a cheat, but it actually helps a lot to know that when I put my dab there and it's the same color as what I'm painting, or the original art is the same colors that I'm painting, I know that it's going to look good. So once I'm happy with it, I move to my mechanical pencil, my stencil, and I get into my new green paint right after I underpaint this and wipe the water off that was on my stencil. I underpaint the back of this black, and this planet, I believe, I think I remember backlighting this as well, as if the light is just bending around the side of the planet where the light from the galaxy is hitting it. Again, these space pieces, you always have to be thinking about where the light's coming from. And you can actually paint planets of different sizes lit in certain ways to make them look like they're farther away from your eye or closer to your eye. So there's another one that goes underneath that is a little bit smaller as if it's farther away, and then I light it differently to make it look like it might be a little bit behind a light source. Maybe a different light source that's off screen, maybe it's behind the galaxy. If it was behind the galaxy, it would have to be a very big planet. So you do have to watch even how you situate your planet sizes and how they're lit might make them look not as realistic. So that being a smaller, like a farther away planet, it would be smaller, but the way I've lit it, it looks like it's being front lit, as if it's behind that galaxy. Sorry, again, you can't really see. I finished by putting a little bit of gold on that planet to make it look like it's lit up a little bit. And again, like in most videos, you don't see my drying time where I actually take the card off the table and put it under my lamp to cook the paint a little bit, for lack of a better term. This planet is front lit as well, and there's a little bit of my metallic green mixed with teal in there. I really like greens and teals mixed together, especially when I can add a little bit of a metallic or a gold to it. It gives these pieces a really, not psychedelic, but stellar feel. A little bit of cleanup work before I start the final stages of the card. I really like doing these. I like making them look nice and clean. If you're new to altars, spend time on developing techniques and getting supplies that will allow you to make your altars look clean. That's hugely important. Toothpicks and straight edges, your best friend. Now, my tiny brush doing a little light peaks or twinkles on the stars. And they look small on camera, but I actually use a micron pen, and this is a 0.3 size. It doesn't have to be 0.3. It could be a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger. This is just what I grabbed out of my marker cup. And I'm just tightening up kind of how pointy those little twinkles are to make them look really tight. If there's any blobs or weird shaped stars as well that maybe came off the paintbrush or the toothbrush a little bit non-round, I would fix those with the marker as well. And I add in a little bit of green right at the very end, and this is pretty much the finished product other than a little bit of cleanup. We're going to take a quick look at the finished product and the social media coordinates. Now, you guys make all the content possible. See you later.